Hello there, beautiful friends. This is Blackenfist. And many of you already know that I'm a boxing fan. If you have seen my Q&As, you probably would have known this already. And I have been thinking for quite some time to upload some boxing videos. So this is going to be my first one, and I'll probably upload some more from now on. This is by no means going to divert my attention from my usual Dragon Ball stuff, so don't worry about it, guys. These videos are going to be very quick to make, so they won't take too much of my time. Right here I'm going to talk about what I believe to be one of the best fights this year, and it's Bernard Hopkins versus Sergey Kovalev in the light heavyweight division. They're unifying their titles, and the reason I believe this is a very good fight is because this fight is essentially a 50-50 fight. Maybe not so much 50-50, but both guys have a very good chances to win this fight. Although I believe this fight is very close, I am leaning slightly towards Kovalev for several reasons. And one of them is the obvious one, Bernard Hopkins' age. Now, I've seen Bernard Hopkins' last fight, and it's no doubt that Bernard is still a top fighter. However, this fight really does hinge on one thing, and that is how well Bernard is going to be able to take Kovalev's power. I don't know how Bernard Hopkins' old body will be able to react to the power of Kovalev. Although Bernard has been able to survive guys like Shumenov, which was his last fight, and Shumenov was a pretty decently hard puncher. However, Shumenov didn't really have the technique to really land anything significant on Hopkins, which Hopkins fully exploited in that fight. Having that said, Shumenov was able to land a couple things, especially to the body of Hopkins, which I do believe if that happens in this fight, and if he lets Kovalev do the same thing, that could be a very devastating thing to happen to Hopkins. It's not only because of his old age, but because Kovalev is a much more powerful puncher than Shumenov, I believe. This is why I give Kovalev a slight edge, and I think it's because Bernard really does have the harder job in this fight. Although Bernard Hopkins is an excellent boxer, I do believe he's going to have to do a better job than he did in his last performance against Shumenov. If Bernard does come into the ring in a similar fashion in the way he came in the ring with Shumenov, things could go badly for Bernard if he starts to let Kovalev punch him in the body like he did let Shumenov did. But I will say this in Bernard's favor. If Kovalev does go in there and he's not able to land anything significant within the first 5 or 4 rounds, I do believe that Bernard Hopkins will have it in the bag. And especially if it goes into the later rounds, 8th round, 9th round, I do believe that it will be in the bag for Bernard at that point in the fight, because Kovalev has never experienced the later rounds, which is something that I think will come in as a disadvantage if he does find himself in the later rounds with a Bernard Hopkins. However, if Kovalev is to land something significant in the early rounds, and I don't mean that he knocks Bernard down, I just mean that he lands something significant in the body or the head or something to disrupt Bernard Hopkins' rhythm and not allowing him to fight the way he usually does, even if it goes into the later rounds, Kovalev still has a good chance of winning the fight. I do believe that at that point in the fight, it will be pretty much an almost even fight. That is, of course, if Kovalev was able to land something early in the fight. Of course, there's always the possibility that Kovalev could also knock him out in the early rounds, which is why I do give Kovalev the slight edge. In the end, I just believe that Kovalev has a little bit more options than Bernard Hopkins in this fight in the way he can win. I do believe that Kovalev could either knock him out early in the fight, or if he's able to damage Bernard Hopkins early in the fight, he is able to continue on and maybe go to a decision victory, because Bernard is not going to be fighting the way he usually does because of his old age and the damage that he has accumulated. And of course, the only way I really do see Bernard winning is if Bernard just gives him a beautiful boxing lesson and makes Kovalev look foolish, which is a possibility that could happen. And who knows, perhaps I am underestimating Bernard Hopkins' toughness because of his old age. But anyway, guys, that is my prediction video, and I do hope to see the fight. I think it's a great fight, and I really do commend both fighters for doing this fight. I'm astonished that Bernard Hopkins at his age is still able to do this, and I really do feel that he doesn't get enough props within the boxing community. But anyway, guys, I'm Blackenfist, and I'm out, man.